Hey guys, welcome to The Market is Open. Check out our website, themarketisopen.com. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have over 30 Tesla videos right now, and we make new ones all the time. Okay, today we're going to be talking about some Tesla news for the week, European deliveries, leasing possibly coming soon, some trouble at Tesla, the general counsel is leaving, and we're going to touch again on the Hardware 3 rollout and Sentry Mode. Okay, let's start with the 4000 Model 3s getting ready to be delivered to Europe. Oops. Okay, here's the picture of the Model 3s in California being loaded onto the boats to Europe. That's about 4,000 Model 3s. Some articles estimate it's about $200 million. That's at around $50,000 a Model 3. That's probably more because the European sales are going to be the higher end Model 3s that have been in pre-order for the longest time, and now that European orders are open, those are going to be delivered right away, which will help Tesla's margin for this quarter, possibly the next quarter as well. And then the tax credit in the US gets reduced again, and I believe Tesla can fulfill most of its high-end orders in 6 months. But that said, the US numbers have dropped dramatically after the European sales have started. So you can see here, last year in December, they delivered 25,000 cars. And then in the next year, for first month of 2019, only 6,500 cars. So these are US deliveries only. They don't include worldwide or European deliveries. And that's why these numbers don't show up here, but anybody looking at these would be like, okay, these numbers look very light. However, the Bloomberg Model 3 production estimator has been on an uptick recently. You can see that they're estimating about 5,500 per week now, and there seems to be quite a spike up, possibly because the VIN numbers have been going up as Tesla preserves more VIN numbers for both the United States and Europe. So that actually might be a little bit misleading, but also the VIN numbers for actual owners have started to come in now into the Bloomberg calculator, and they have been quite accurate. The most they've been off in a single quarter has been about 5%. So if we look at their track record, it's pretty good, and it points to Model 3 production being quite healthy. So there's rumors that Model 3 leasing is on the way. Some people view this as a bad thing, so I've created a bear versus bull table here so we can go through that. But basically, for the bear case, it points to if demand is slowing for the Model 3, then Tesla needs to do something to spur the demand. So they're going to introduce leasing, which means people can sort of put down less money and pay over time to purchase the Model 3 instead of buying it outright. That's going to spur demand for Tesla, but that's one less trick that Tesla has after this leasing thing rolls out. So the bears will say demand is slowing, but whether that's right or wrong, the bulls will say that that's going to spur demand. And then the bears will say, well, there's no demand in the United States. And the bulls will say, well, right now they're focusing on Europe. So as we saw in the previous chart, you won't see the demand in the United States. However, the bears might say there's no demand in Europe either. But the bulls will say, okay, there clearly is because Tesla has hundreds of thousands of pre-orders. We don't know exactly how many, but Tesla needs to fulfill that. And if it's around the same as it was in the United States, it'll take them a couple months, at least 6 months to meet that backlog. Now I was reading, somebody was saying, I think it was CNBC was saying that the leasing coincides with the tax credit phase out. So no, it doesn't. That's in June, unless that's when leasing is planned to come out. But I think that would actually be a good time to introduce leasing, because you want people to take advantage of the tax credit and pay full price for the car before June. You want leasing to come out after the tax credit gets phased out, when you get the buyers that want to pay a smaller amount and then pay the car out over time. By the way, Tesla actually already offers leasing for models S and X, and every automaker in the world offers leasing as well. The only reason why they weren't doing it before was because if they don't do it, they get the full price of the car up front, so that's more cash in their pocket, and they sort of needed the cash. So actually, by introducing leasing, it sort of shows that they're sort of self-sustainable. They don't need that much cash anymore to keep the business running. And of course, I mean, leasing will bring in cash, and it'll bring in cash each month quite predictably. So it might be a little bit lower, which is why the bears might say it'll hurt the income statement. But there's going to be way more Teslas on the road if way more people can buy Teslas, because the price will basically come down. You can sort of get into Model 3 for only a few $100 a month, and then everybody can get their hands on one. Even Apple, for example, is sort of effectively leasing their iPhone because to sort of spur demand, and iPhones are only $1,000 compared to like a Tesla, which is currently $40,000. But I think a higher market share for Tesla, if a lot of people are leasing and everybody's sort of getting their hands on a Tesla, that's like a high market share for Tesla is quite dangerous for the other automakers. Each Tesla that's sold is a car that's not sold from an automaker. So all those cars that are sitting on the lots of a dealership, I mean, I don't know, I could walk over to any dealership and see hundreds of cars on their lots for all these different companies. Like, I don't even know how they sell these cars. They literally sit there for months and months. They have parking lots full of cars just sitting there doing nothing. And people freak out when they see a couple Model 3s in a parking lot that are instantly shipped out. But anyways, Audi, Porsche, Jaguar, GM, Ford, they all know how to lease cars too. So I guess a Tesla bull would say get wrecked because nobody cares. Okay, some big trouble again at Tesla. Elon Musk is in trouble. He tweeted something and then corrected it. So Elon tweeted, Tesla made 0 cars in 2011, but will make around 500K in 2019. And then later on, he corrected it by saying he meant that the annual production rate at the end of 2019 would be around 500K, i.e. about 10,000 cars per week. And deliveries for the year are still estimated to be about 400K, which is what they said in their annual report letter. So people are freaking out about that. The SEC is going to be all over him again. But first of all, I think the markets were actually closed when he said this. But second of all, it was corrected. But third, Elon is an engineer and he's just trying to show the magnitude increase of 2011 versus 2019. But he wasn't like making a statement to change the company guidance. He also said around 500K. But I'm sure the bears will take it completely out of context and send it to the SEC. So the bears love this one. This is a non-issue, but the bears don't have too much to latch on to lately. So you'll see when there's something juicy, like Jim Chanos will come on TV again, but he hasn't really showed up yet. Okay, we've heard today that the general counsel is leaving at the same time that Elon tweeted something. His name is Buttswinkus, and his decision to leave is because of a poor cultural fit at Tesla and a desire to return home to his family and law practice, a source familiar said. I think it was from CNN. Elon obviously thinks that he's not needed. So I don't know, this guy's he's just taking the salary from the company and the company's trying to cut costs. So, I mean, he was replaced right away by somebody who's been at Tesla for 8 years. So bye-bye. So I think that there's huge distractions going on now with all these tweets. I mean, you saw the 2 previous tweets and the general counsel leaving and all that stuff, but remember what happened last year when everybody got held up by the SEC and Elon's tweet and they were all freaking out. And then what's-his-face changed, Andrew Left changed his view just before the quarter. And then Tesla reported the best quarterly earnings of all time that they've ever had. And people were sort of taken aback and they didn't really expect that. So I think the same thing seems to be starting to happen this year. And I think it's going to happen a little bit with technology. Elon even said it in the podcast in the other video that I made yesterday, that the hardware 3 is rolling out and nobody's really watching. It also seems that there's a lot of other catalysts coming up. I mean, there's a bunch of an unveil of new cars coming out this year. There's the China thing, the new factory being built there. Model Y that's going to be the focus at the end of the year. And this hardware 3 rollout is simply overlooked. And I think it's going to lead to the best self-driving out of all the competitors. Everybody else seems to be using expensive LiDAR. And to me, it's not even really about the self-driving. It's sort of just like an extra layer for safety or like a backup in case you need to use any of these autonomous features. And of course, it's fun to sort of drive your car, have the car drive itself or bring the car to you, like to summon it without you being there. But I think most importantly, it actually opens up a huge new set of features. Like I said in the last video, it sort of turns cars into an application platform, sort of like an iPhone. And I don't think anybody's really expecting that. And also, I wanted to talk about Sentry Mode today. Tesla demoed it using Cookie Monster. And in the last video that I made about Sentry Mode, I said that like a thief could take your USB stick. But that's sort of only one use case that I was referring to. I wanted to sort of bring attention to some of the other important use cases that I don't know if they're being overlooked or anything, but I just haven't talked about them really yet. But if somebody bumps into your car or hits it when it's parked and then drive away, like you're getting their information because all the cameras are turning on. The cameras are already on. They've been on for 10 minutes before. And these people aren't thieves. They're not like breaking into your car. They're simply hitting your car and driving away. So I think it's an awesome feature. Like I want this feature super badly. It's basically hit and run prevention. And no other car has that. Even like if you put outdoor security cameras, I mean, those are like never available when you need them. You got to go around and ask people who own the parking lot for their footage or whatever, and they never seem to have it when you need it. So I think this is actually a game changer. And as I said before, like I mean, there's the performance and the speed and all these other features aside. This is one of the best like selling points, one of the best features for the car, hands down. I think it's like hugely underestimated. I mean, I would buy this car simply just for this feature. Like, no one's gonna ever ding your car again. So I think people really need this. It's definitely an untapped need in the market. Like, current alarms that go off are completely useless. Like, people could just drive away. No other car can record, can film when the car is parked. Like, all dash cams and everything, they all shut off because they're all run using the car's battery, which is super small. But only an electric car has a battery that's big enough. So like you can only do this in an electric car unless you have like a camera with a giant power wall attached to it, which is basically a Tesla. So yeah, I think this is a great feature, and Cookie Monster thinks so too. All right, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash the like button.